Welcome to the FMCG guys. This is your co-host Daniel Torres. Before we get into today's episode, we would like to raise something that would really help support this podcast and ultimately community, everything we're doing around the actual audio content plus all the updates, videos, content we're producing on LinkedIn. It's very simple. That would be that you leave us a short review and a 5-star, of course, in the section below to help support this, because this will help us appear in more searches and ultimately gain credibility and prestige so we can create more and especially better content. So let's get into the episode today. Hi, Efrain. Good to see you.
Hi, Daniel. Good to be with you as always.
Excellent. I'm very excited about the topic today because it actually brings us back to one of the first episodes we recorded together, which is Q-commerce. Do you remember?
I do. It seems like yesterday that we were, I think that was our second or maybe our third episode together.
Yeah, well, technically it was probably a third or fourth, but as the FMCG guys, it was the second. It was the beginning of 2022. So we were talking about Q-commerce. So now, a year and a half later, a lot has happened, but I think we're still talking about quite a dynamic and happening space. And clearly the space has consolidated.
It has. And I think that, it's tended to follow kind of a very similar route to what we've seen in terms of other new sectors or technologies in terms of an initial just expansion by a lot of players to then start to consolidate and they evolve, right? So they in essence take the best of some of the mergers and acquisitions they happen. And it can tend to lead to new innovations as well. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about Q-commerce from a supplier side, so from the brand side. We've talked about Q-commerce from a retailer side as well. But today we're gonna talk about like a different aspect, but I think that it's really key for FMCG brands, which is how they can benefit and leverage data that comes out of there and all the insights that you get from data. So today we're going to speak with Andrey Dyatlov. He is the founder and CEO of Rapid Delivery Analytics, which is a tool that enables FMCG brands to track data from mobile-first delivery services and gather key e-grocery metrics across thousands of dark stores, basically giving the brands real-time data and actionable insights, which, as you'll see, is very interesting because not only can they deliver them real-time, but really localized as well. So with Andrey, there's a couple of things that we look forward to understanding. On one side is how he sees grocery evolving, also the need for real-time insights and how ultimately FMCG companies can benefit from these quick analytics.
My name is Andrey. I'm the co-founder of Rapid Delivery Analytics platform, or RDA. Basically, we are providing data across different rapid grocery delivery apps and platforms to FMCG brands. I'll be happy to tell you more during this podcast how we can help brands to achieve their goals.
No, really interesting to talk about like brands, rapid delivery, Q-commerce. I think that's a few topics we're going to talk about here. Sorry, Efrain.
No. I was just excited to pick Andrey's brain, so I jumped right in. But to that point, to kick off our conversation, Andrey, as somebody who is obviously in a quite populous city, you've been witness to a lot of what's happened in the last few years with regards to the rise of online shopping and the impact that it's had in terms of the FMCG landscape. Would love to just hear from you in terms of like what you've seen in terms of the shifting consumer behavior and what's the impact that you've seen and the implications to the industry.
So to be honest, this shift of consumer behavior, I think it's been a while it started. So we see that lots of new players are coming to the retail market. And of course, the pandemic actually boosted this process, this shift towards the online grocery delivery. And huge populated city, of course, like Paris, they are really focused on delivering groceries as fast as possible and enlarging this amount of different grocery deliveries. And the main impact that I see right now, based on new players and based on new services and apps, of course, is coming to the e-commerce departments in FMCG brands. So I see, like, we've been working with FMCG brands for more than 7 years, and we actually saw this transformation, how the e-commerce departments hired new people and how new positions actually were there, covering major channels, including rapid delivery as a separate channel. And I think this is the main impact that we already see right now. And it's not only about the high density populated cities, but also about the market as well.
Mm-hmm. Why has this rapid delivery channel risen so much? No, because if you think about it, maybe 7 years ago, like pre-COVID plus a few more years, nobody would have, or very few people would have thought that was even necessary. Why do you think that this channel has emerged so much? I mean, and there's obviously now been questions about, profitability and so on, but clearly the model is here to stay.
Exactly. So I think that to understand why it's on the rise and why it's here, it's important to understand that there are two different separate streams here. We can talk about quick commerce, such as Getir or Flink, that are working as a separate retailer, right? And the aggregators, such as Uber Eats, for example, or Glovo or Deliveroo, and they are just delivering the groceries from offline stores. And I think that based on this division and based on these two streams, customers just were using the food tech apps such as Uber Eats, and they saw the opportunity to have their groceries delivered the same as their pizza was delivered, right? And that was the boost number one. And the boost number two is connected to the quick commerce. Of course, when you have an opportunity to get your groceries in 15 minutes, it's something that really catches your attention, especially in a huge city when you don't, especially during the pandemic, when you don't want to go somewhere. And I think that was the boost number two. And the shift that we were talking about, of course, the consumer shift towards this rapid grocery delivery, it happened during the COVID and with the help of these new emerging apps.
Yeah. And as you said, obviously the pandemic was a pivotal moment in regards to the growth of this sector in the industry. I imagine that, as you said, it's not just in the densely populated city centers, but it's got, reach into other types of cities as well. I'm curious to get your perspective with regards to the importance of tracking, in essence, visits, but also sales and basically everything with regards to these platforms, and how you see that being crucial in today's FMCG landscape.
When we look at the traditional e-commerce, Amazon, or in terms of groceries, Ocado, for example, right? We know that every brand is actually really keen on having the data on the digital shelf. And crucial e-commerce metrics, working with search, with categories, with product pages. And basically, it's been a while. Well, the brands actually used this data to boost their performance, to analyze how they are doing them. Rapid grocery delivery is just another channel. It's different. First of all, it's mobile first or even mobile only channel. And here's the huge difference here in front of Amazon, for example. But it's still a separate retailer that brand still has to track, still has to analyze, to measure the performance there. And the same metrics are actually applicable to the rapid grocery delivery channel as well. And what is most important here, in my opinion, is that when we talk about like huge amount of dark stores or micro fulfillment centers, brands have they have to know what is happening inside each and every dark store, each and every micro fulfillment center, and that is what really makes this task very difficult. Not just to track what is happening inside the app, but what is happening inside each and every delivery zone that the app actually provides to the end consumer.
And why is that important? Like, one would think really the only thing that brands should care about is like, you know, what the consumers are buying on the front end. I had never heard about what happens in the back end in the dark store. Why is that important?
So this region of Paris, I don't know, the 16th district, for example, has its own digital shelf in Getir or Flink. And we have some products that are not present in other districts across Paris. The same city, but different e-shelf. And this is like the point number one. It's very important for the brand just to understand where they are available, what is the product metrics across each and every delivery zone, and how it's distributed across different cities and regions. The second, like, very important factor here is that it's basically important to know out of stock events, search positions across different dark stores, and actually each and every metric across different delivery zones in the same app, just to measure performance correctly and just to find out where exactly you might have some problems, not just in Getir, but in exact dark store across Paris in Getir, for example.
Yeah, what I love about that, Andrey, is that you've hit on, in essence, benefits to both the end consumer or the shopper, but also to the customer as well, in regards to being able to more effectively manage their inventory and their store operations. So I imagine that what you're describing is the power of real-time insights to really, in essence, being able to give you a competitive advantage in the landscape today.
Yes, we are trying to get to maybe cover the gap that brands right now have, the gap of this detailed analytics and very deep analytics across each and every delivery zones inside the applications. And we want to give the data that really crucial to understand the whole rapid delivery market. It's not only about understanding what is happening inside the application. It's very important just to know exactly where your bottlenecks are, pain points are, and where exactly you have to closely look on your problems.
Mm-hmm. And can you outline how the RDA platform actually operates and how consumer goods companies can benefit from it?
We the platform actually has the data, the daily aggregated data across each and every dark store in multiple applications, across multiple apps. Getir, Flink, in quick commerce, many more there as well. Aggregators as well, Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Global.
Okay. So you're working through the two pillars that you mentioned, Q-commerce, but also the aggregators.
Yes, we cover both of that streams, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do, we actually act as an end consumer, such as other e-commerce analytics platforms do. So we basically trying to get the information that the end customer actually sees inside the application. We get this data on a daily basis, multiple times a day, just to track if the product is still on the digital shelf or was it out of stock. Where it's possible, we also get the data on the stock availability, just to provide the brand with the data on how many SKUs are there in the dark store. We are doing it per each dark store to actually provide the full range on all categories and all products to the brand. And our clients, they get the data through the API or through our dashboard. So it's based on their needs. We know that there are lots of dashboards across FMCG brands. So we are trying to deliver the data in the way how they can benefit like as fast as possible.
Yeah, and as you said, it's what's great about it is that you're providing both insight around sell-in as well as sell-out to those brands as well, and you're meeting an unfulfilled need, which is like, whereas with, let's go like grocery, traditional grocery, you can source that data through syndicated sources like Nielsen or IRI, but with these quick commerce players, it's a gap. It's a gap for a lot of brands. So you guys are in essence filling an unmet need for those brands in the marketplace.
Just maybe a bit of the context. The sell-in, brands know they are sell-in when they are actually working with the quick commerce apps, for example. The sell-out, we have an ability to estimate the sell-outs, and by combining this data with the sell-ins and by analyzing the whole category, because we are providing not only the information about the brand's products, of course, but the category as well and competitors as well. We are even able to estimate the share of market, the share of shelf, to provide more detailed information about the rapid grocery delivery as a market.
And are you able to share with us any examples in terms of like brands that have used your service and some of the benefits they've been able to achieve?
So I won't tell the brand names, but maybe
please, protect the innocent.
You don't want to commit a crime here.
I can share one of the use cases, the most recent one, I think, that really caught my attention. It was connected to the promotional activities launch. And we've only started working with one of the brand in the dairy category. And there was a problem that they made lots of promotional activities inside one of the applications across Germany. And there was a problem for them to estimate the performance and actually to make the calculation correctly, because they didn't know anything about availability, about out of stock events across different dark stores. And they just assumed that their products were everywhere on the shelf, and they were available 100% of the time. Because of that, the estimation of the calculation of the performance of the promotional activity was not as accurate as it should be. So we gave that data across all the dark stores, across all of their products. We showed them their availability and out of stock data. We showed them who else was on the promotion during their promotion, how it affected to their promotion. We also work with retail media, so we shared with them who actually launched different advertising activities inside the application for them to actually make this calculation, performance calculation, as accurate as possible by analyzing all the factors that might affect to their final promotional activity.
Mm-hmm. And if you put all that together, well, you have all these different actually parts to your solution, no? Like all these different parts of data metrics and analytics that you provide. What are the big buckets here, and what are their practical applications?
So there are lots of use cases how our clients actually use it on a daily basis. Most of the clients that we are currently working with, they just build their own internal dashboards or combining our data with their internal dashboards with other channels, because it's very important just to see e-commerce as a whole. Then they use the data in different ways, such as analyzing out of stock events in each and every region, city, or even dark store to have the negotiations with the platform, with their client. Of course, we're talking about search and working with search results across different search queries, which is very important when we are talking about like huge brands with lots of presence in different categories. Category positioning and actually the taxonomy, especially when we are talking about quick commerce, is completely different. And some brands just struggle to understand where exactly they are, who are their competitors inside the category. So we are providing the taxonomy information as well, including the promotional categories, something that is tricky sometimes. When you launch your promotional activity and you know that you should be in promotional category, but for some reason you're not there. So, and yeah, as you mentioned, so these like lots of metrics across each and every product in your category, we are just delivering it to the brand side and they use it in like for different use cases, analyzing how the products are actually performing inside the category and what else is actually happening inside the category, how it affects on their products.
Mm-hmm. And I know that, I mean, one big thing that you guys have, and I know if you go into your website and so on, is the fact that you underline the fact that you can get the data real time, right? Because I think that normally, Efrain, you would know better than me, but you get the data like, you know, this was this month's results and this is the data, whereas here you can get it like real time as people are shopping. Like, what's the big difference for you to having that data? What's the competitive advantage for a brand to have that data real time versus after a month or whatever?
Like we are talking about rapid grocery delivery, and rapid here is the key word. It's very important in the market is constantly developing. It's changing. New apps, new markets, somebody closes, somebody opens. So it's very important to be on the edge, to have the data as soon as possible. So we are providing daily aggregations on the next day. So you have the data about yesterday. And it's very important to have this real-time alerts that something is wrong, that your products are out of stock, that your category position changed or your products were absent for some reason in your category. So it's very important to react fast. When we are talking about quick commerce, it's also about quick. So it's always about this constant changing and constant development of the market. And that's why we are trying to give to the brand the data as fast as possible. And do you think there's a case of like that this like data that you get instantly and a more like it's a quicker dialogue with the consumer ultimately, that it can also have an extrapolation to the brand's wider strategy outside of Q-commerce? So we see that this data is used outside the rapid delivery landscape. We don't know actually how they are implementing it in other e-commerce channels, but we know, and we have these conversations with our current clients, that e-commerce actually gives something that the other part of e-commerce not sometimes like has, and the knowledge about how your product is distributed across the city and where exactly your products are mostly like sold is very important, right? And that's what the brand actually tries to take to the offline part, to the other e-commerce part, and we hope that we help the brand with that. And to clarify, and I think you referenced this earlier, the brand teams themselves are able to access that data through either dashboards that they build where they're taking this data and embedding it, or do you provide that as a service as well? So we do both. We have our own dashboard, so we are providing our own dashboard to on the brand side. But we see, and actually we encourage brands to build not just to build another dashboard, but to implement our data to their infrastructure and to their existing dashboards, because e-commerce, we are just only the gap in the data. It's not very, it's better to build something bigger than just the rapid delivery, to combine the data from different e-commerce channels such as Amazon and other retailers in one place, and to react on the whole picture using our data as well.
Mm-hmm. And actually, out of curiosity, Andrey, what initially pulled you in to go into this Q-commerce space, all in Q-commerce FMCG?
As I mentioned, we've been working with FMCG for a very long time, mostly connected to promotional activities, software development, different special projects, etc. But then when the COVID started, we saw this huge opportunity that actually our clients started to ask questions about how they can get the data in terms of promotional activities, but mostly about like anything else as well, from the quick commerce apps. And we saw that quick commerce maybe is not as huge and as big as it sounds. So we switched to rapid delivery to cover the whole mobile first and mobile only world, e-grocery world. And that's how we came out with the idea of building a solution that actually provides this data.
Very cool.
So this has been we've used the word rapid, fast moving, obviously quite a lot through the discussion. And given that rapid pace of change, I'm curious to get your perspective on what do you think is next? What are some predictions or what do you see coming down the pipe in terms of the rapid delivery industry?
So that's a great question because nobody knows. In my opinion, and I really believe that it's here and it will stay forever with us. The consumer shift that we've been talking about was already made, and actually consumers right now, they really like to order groceries online and get them in less than an hour. Would quick commerce stay in the way how it works right now? I'm not quite sure. And maybe we will see only one or maybe two huge players, huge quick commerce players. Maybe they will be distributed across different regions. We definitely see a huge wave of consolidation certainly in terms of the quick commerce. But the rapid delivery and the second stream, the aggregators and the food tech apps and their grocery part will definitely stay. We already see how there are lots of partnerships there, how Uber Eats partners with Carrefour, for example, right? So we will definitely see more of this kind of partnerships. And I believe that the rapid delivery maybe actually it will become like as a huge piece of pie of e-commerce, of e-grocery. And we will look at that as a separate stream, as a separate e-commerce stream. And I believe that what is going to happen in the nearest future.
Mm-hmm. And what about the role of new technologies? And we haven't mentioned this word in all the conversation, AI. What will happen with AI?
When we're talking about Getir, for example, or Flink, or even Uber Eats, they're all tech companies. So technology, it's already changed the retail industry and the FMCG industry, right? So it will continue to change the whole attitude of how consumer actually orders the groceries, how FMCG brands connect with the end customer. So it will definitely make a huge impact on the industry. AI, so we know that AI is used in search engines and recommendations engines. This is something that brands really have to think about especially when they are entering the new, very rapidly developed market, right? And rapid delivery is actually something that brands are, in my opinion, they have to focus on this market right now. and to leverage this technology, to understand how exactly your products are are placed in the search, how recommendation engines work with your products. So it's not about implementing AI, but it's more about understanding how it works and where it is, just to be on the edge and just to understand what exactly is happening inside the application, for example.
Andrey, this has been a very enlightening conversation. I'm always fascinated to hear how this industry or how this sector in the industry is continuing to evolve. And like you said, we've already seen a rapid amount of change just even in the last year or so with regards to consolidation, and I think it's just going to continue. We have one final question for you, and this is one that we ask all of our guests. And we ask you to, in essence, kind of put yourself back in time. And given what you've learned over your career, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give your younger self as you were starting your career, given everything you've seen so far?
Definitely to learn from the best, to spend as much money to get the experience from the industry leaders, to get this experience that might take years to actually gain it by yourself. And this is what I do right now. So I try to, maybe cover these 10 years and to get as much information as possible from top minds, from top voices inside the industry.
This was Andrey Dyatlov, founder and CEO of Rapid Delivery Analytics. Very interesting, Efrain, and also around your corner in Paris. What are your thoughts?
Well, first, it's always nice to hear about new companies, new startups, and like you said, in my neighborhood. So it was great to connect with Andrey on that. But I think from a business standpoint, some of the points that he raised, particularly around real-time analytics, are always really, really top of mind. Not just for me, but I imagine for a lot of people in the brand and retail space as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that my first conclusion is that this space, even there's been some disruption, if you like, and, companies disappearing and so on. It's obviously a space that's here to stay, and it's covering an actual need. I mean, I think there's no question about that anymore.
Yeah, and I think the case study that he mentioned from the dairy brand that they're working with in terms of being able to combine digital shelf data with retail media data in terms of like search, to really give that full funnel view is really powerful. And I think it's what a lot of brands are looking for when it comes to what those real-time analytics can help deliver.
Yeah, I think it also actually, to your point, it bridges a gap in terms of I think that for FMCG brands, they're one step removed from the consumer in the way that there's always the retailer in the middle. And I think that Q-commerce, although there's a third party selling the product, does help facilitate that dialogue between brand and consumer, right?
It does. And as we talked about on a couple of other prior episodes, data and the collaborating and sharing of data is one of the fundamental elements when it comes to the retail brand partnership, right? And how it's evolving. So like you said, quick commerce is similar in a lot of ways in that regard in terms of how you're working with quick commerce retailers. I think the space that's really exciting that RDA and Andrey and his team are filling is how do you take that and improve access to it, but also actionability of it as well.
Yeah. I think that one conclusion, if I were a brand manager, would be it's not only about being there, but it's also about actually having taking out the data from there in the best way possible. No, because I think that will be a competitive advantage.
For sure. And I think that what was great about our discussion with Andrey as well was that we talked about not just the digital self, side of things, but he also talked about how they're using this data to analyze out of stocks as well. And you're probably tired of hearing me say it. I'm sure people from my past life probably are as well. But we used to talk about out of stock as the next billion-dollar brand for a lot of companies, right? So if you think about the impact that, like, improving 1 point in reducing your out of stocks and the impact that it can have for you as a brand, super powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this was really interesting, by the way, guys. If you want to get in touch with Andrey, feel free to reach out to him. You can also reach out to Efrain or myself, and we can probably make an intro. Great to see you again, Efrain, by the way. And one last shout out, as we said at the beginning, would be great if you can leave us a review below. And of course, if you have any feedback whatsoever, please reach out. Some people do reach out, but we want to have, as well as the brand, we want to have more dialogue with our listeners.
So tell us what you like. Tell us what you'd like to see more of, and what future episodes, what topics and guests you'd like us to be talking about and with.
Yeah, exactly, because we, I think, do a decent job with having a great pipeline of guests, but of course, we're very open to ideas. Well, thanks to all our listeners, and we'll see you in the next episode of the FMCG, guys.